Afternoon. Welcome to the College of Education and this very, very special presentation. My name is Nick Colangelo. I'm the Dean of the College of Education, and I welcome all of you. This is part of what the College of Education Distinguished Speaker Series, and we couldn't have possibly come up with a better person to enhance this series for us. But it is an opportunity for the college to bring leading people who have really made a mark on their field. Our guest today, as all of you I'm sure know, is Mr. Al Jarreau. And as soon as... And Al, in addition to obviously being an accomplished worldwide musician, is also a graduate of the College of Education. And I have this Hawkeye 1964 book, and he is a graduate of our rehabilitation counseling program in 1964. Now, but just to make sure that he was really here, because this was a little bit before my time, two of his classmates are actually here. Bill, you and Orville, would you please stand up? They went to classes with him.
Proof. The proof, huh?
Since we're talking about rehab counseling, it's a good time for me to plug. And I think there is a relationship here between Al being a graduate, but our rehab counseling program just got ranked by U.S. News and World Report as the #2 program in America. So,
Yay! Amazing. Amazing.
So Al, if you're looking for a job, I think the diploma's still good. Okay.
Oh, he don't want me. I was the worst.
You know, one of the things that we as faculty try to tell all of our students when they graduate is, you know, you can never anticipate the job market. So in addition to your major, develop some fallback skills. Well, Al took that one to heart, okay? And his fallback skills make him one of not only America's, but one of the world's renowned musicians. Al has earned 6 Grammy Awards, and one of the very few people in this nation who has ever gotten a Grammy in 3 different categories. He got it for jazz, for pop, and R&B. And that's an amazing accomplishment.
It's 7 Grammy, Doctor.
What we will be doing today is Ben Kiefer is going to be interviewing Al. Anyone here, anyone from Iowa knows Ben as a strong voice in Iowa public radio. You can't say Java House without thinking Ben around here. But he is one of our media personalities, and so he will be interacting with Al and so forth. But I want to end this with exactly how I started with Al, and that is, Al, welcome home.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to get started, and I wanted to let you know that we are recording this next approximately hour for broadcast later. We don't have a date, toward the end of the year, we think, and we'd like to include your questions. So we have an audience microphone there in the center of the room. Be thinking of your questions. If you are a little mic shy, Al could probably help you out with that disability, but if you are, there are cards. There are cards there. You can write your question down and hand them over to Lindsay. Lindsay can stand up briefly, hand them down the aisle, and we, if you'd like to have me ask your question, I'd be happy to do that. So about 1:30, we'll be going to some audience questions, and I'm going to sort of make this a part of a special River to River program, which is my noon talk show. So we'll start off there in just a moment. Make sure your cell phones are nice and quiet, on manner mode. Of course, we know that Al will be performing tomorrow night downtown. If you haven't told others, it's a free concert presented by Hansher. And we, in this room, I know, are all going to be there. And that's all of my pre-notes, so let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
And so we're going to make believe we're just starting here. Okay. I'm going to need the audience help, so you need to watch my hand here, too. It's a special edition of River to River from Iowa Public Radio News. I'm Ben Kiefer, and we're coming to you this hour in a special program recorded before our live audience at the Lindquist Center at the University of Iowa on the campus in Iowa City in September of 2014. It was 50 years ago that my guest, Al Jarreau, attended the University of Iowa. Let's set the scene before we talk with him. In the early and mid-'60s, when Al Jarreau roamed this roamed. We've got to edit there. Let's set the scene in the early and mid-'60s when Al Jarreau roamed this campus and get a feeling for that time. It was at that time that we lost a president, President Kennedy, to an assassin. The U.S. Surgeon General reported that smoking may be hazardous to your health. It was the first such statement that the U.S. government had made. Cassius Clay, later Muhammad Ali, was crowned heavyweight champion of the world. Beatlemania and the British invasion had just begun. The Beatles in 1964 landed the 2 top hits of that year. Anybody out there know what those top hits were? Number 1 and number 2 in the country, 1964.
I wanna hold your hand, yeah, yeah.
Yes. And number 2 was She Loves You.
Love you, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Iowa had a Democratic governor named Harold Hughes.
Yay.
And if you were lucky enough to have $100 in your pocket in 1964, you had the buying power in today's money of $750. Wow. And in 1964, Al Jarreau earned his degree from the University of Iowa College of Education's Rehabilitation Counseling Master's Program. It was just a year or two later that his first album was released. We'll have to find out what happened there. Since then, he has recorded more than a dozen albums. He became the first vocalist in music history to receive Grammy Awards in 3 separate categories, jazz, pop, and R&B. Let's give a warm welcome back to his home to Al Jarreau.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, through the mountains, to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Come on, y'all. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Amen. Anything else will be all right. How wonderful to be on campus. It's too rare. I thank you for signing for us this afternoon, and yeah, I'm mentally impaired, so and I also have a hearing impairment. The doctor told me a profound loss of hearing. So Ben, wherever you want to go, we go.
Well, let's find out how you came to Iowa, because I know you grew up in Milwaukee, the 5th of 6 children. You're the son of a minister and a singer, and your mother was a church pianist. But you were born in Milwaukee. How did you find your way to Iowa? Why did you come to Iowa?
Well, I just left Ripon College in Ripon, Wisconsin. They bake Ripon Good cookies and have a Speed Queen factory. And it's one of the homes of the Jolly Green Giant. And birthplace of the Republican Party. Did you know that? Ripon College, birthplace of the Republican Party. And Harrison Ford was a semester away from me. We spent a lot of times eating family-style dinner, bringing platters of food, pour the milk. Can I have some butter? Can I have some? Little Ripon College. We were 800 students then, and we've grown 900 students now.
And I believe you majored in psychology.
And
so
sister school to Co.
Sister school?
And Grinnell. I played basketball on those basketball courts 4 years before I came to school here. I know you. I know what Quaker Oat smells like.
After Ripon College, where you majored your undergraduate degree in psychology, you came to the University of Iowa to major in rehabilitation counseling, helping people who have disabilities. What do you remember most about your time here in Iowa City? You were back here. I before the program, you said it's changed so much.
Oh, it's amazingly changed. Yeah, it was.
Tell us where you hung out at that when you were in the mid '60s in Iowa City.
The library. The library. I was not smart. I was booking and studying. Well, I worked a couple of nights a week singing, so that meant I had to do some overtime. But I came here, from Ripon, where, professors held my hand and got me through. I figured out later on that repetition, I might remember it. So I was in the library a lot. Of course, the rehab program with Dr. Moutard and Leonard Miller, those guys will always stand out in my mind. And learning about this profession, this helping profession. I had an older brother who was a social worker, and it just somehow made sense with all that I had learned in the church. To be involved in a helping profession, healing. If you can do that, you're kind of like an extension of the big hand, And so all of you who are doing that kind of work, including teachers, my goodness, what a profession. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your service. I hope you're teaching some kids that it's a profession to head toward, teaching.
Yeah. Back in the 60s, the most happening place for jazz in Iowa was in Cedar Rapids. It was a night spot called the Tender Trap, named after a Sinatra song. And
right.
You played there often, I understand. You have people in the room who witnessed you perform there. How did you get on stage at the Tender Trap?
Well, there was every year at that time, the campus had a yearly kind of open mic talent bash, and people came and sang and played their instruments and at this occasion, I met a brilliant piano player named Bill Bell. And Bill Bell was from Iowa and was playing at the Tender Trap. And he said, "Man, you ought to come with me to the Tender Trap." And I went and I sang, and Joe Abadili, who was the drummer in the Tender Trap, ex-wrestler from the University of Iowa on one of those championship teams back then. He was the drummer. And I went in and sang, and they asked me if I would come and sing a couple of nights a week. So I went and sang Friday and Saturday nights, and that's how it happened. One of the most wonderful experiences in my life, continuation of the dream that you have to see when you sleep, when you wake up, and in the afternoon when you eat lunch. You have to be able to smell that red leather chair in your legal office, know what your secretary is going to look like, and know the kind of, you see those clients lining up out there, and then you go to bed and you dream that dream again. Some call that prayer, some call that creative visualization, but you got to have it.
Yeah.
Gotta have it. You gotta have that dream.
Al Jarreau, did you have in your mid-20s, 50 years ago, did you have the dream of what you would become at that time?
At 12. at 12, maybe at 5, when you go to church and you sing, Jesus wants me for a sunbeam, and the ladies come and kiss you on your cheek, and you and get rouge all over you and slobber all over you. That makes an impression, boys and girls. Since I was 5 years old, I had that dream. Well, really, truly, it began to happen shortly after that, when you sing and people smile and you smile at them, and something special happens in that space where you sing a song and people share that with you, and maybe they sing along. That's an amazing thing. You want to do it. So by the time I was 14 or 15 years old, I had this dream that was working in the back of my head, and maybe it'll happen. And by the time I came here to go to school, I was committed. I'm going to sing for free, but I'm going to go to school too.
Okay.
I am going to go to school. I'm going to have a degree in my pocket. And anytime I need it, I can unlock it. So I worked as a rehab counselor for 3 years in San Francisco with the dream.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what types of, in the mid-'60s, because jazz has evolved so much in the intervening decades? Do you remember what type of songs you were doing at the Tender Trap at all?
Well, yeah. I was doing a brand of singing that you would recognize in Tony Bennett, what he does, in Diana Krall, and what she does, trio singer, and we would sing a version of Moon River, or we would sing a version of that's Straight No Chaser. Straight No Chaser. We would sing some versions of those kinds of songs, and with a horn player, J.R. Montrose from Utica, New York, who had played with all of the greats, but came there to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, to take a rest. He needed a rest. He had some habits that he needed a rest from. So he came to rest there and played, and I learned so much from him and from those trios that David Sanborn, a couple or 3 years later, would come and play with when he was a student here. So it was a marvelous, wonderful run for me to come here, kid from Milwaukee. It even then, it was frightening. I mean, this was a huge, big city for me. My neighborhood was small. Coming here to campus and finding kids from Nepal, finding kids from Germany, finding kids from all over the world. I mean, what a cosmos of people to hang out and be with. It scared me, But I hung in there and loved the experience.
If you've just joined us, this is Al Jarreau, a special edition of River to River from Iowa Public Radio, a program recorded in September of 2014 at the Lindquist Center on the University of Iowa campus. It's a welcome back event for jazz great Al Jarreau, who got his master's degree at the College of Education at the University of Iowa in 1964. So we're asking for some of his remembrances and to share some of his things with us. Now, you talked about your singing. You did some of that kind of scat singing there, too. You have this trademark ability. We know Al Jarreau for this ability to do what you just did, to use your voice for all kinds of things, to imitate horns and strings and percussion. You were a beatboxer 20 years before that name was ever invented.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Having fun.
You ever run into any young kids who think they invented that?
Oh, yeah. They don't even talk about it.
How did you learn that? Did you have a mentor for your style of singing or what your style of singing became?
Well, yeah, lots of them. Do you know John Hendricks of Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross? One of my first mentors. Do you know Johnny Mathis? Great mentor of mine. Do you know Nancy Wilson? When I was at the Tender Trap, I listened to Nancy daily, and Johnny Mathis, but John Hendricks. And then I'd come across a group called the Double Six of Paris. I missed school all the time, just sitting in the library listening to them and Eric Satie.
Really?
Double Six of Paris. From Paris, there were 6 people, and they double recorded, and they sounded just like a big band, and they sang the solos like the horn players did, and wrote lyrics for those solos. So those are the people that I was listening to and wanted to somehow find a way for them to be in what I do, get a feeling for them and what they do, and let it roll around inside of me and come out Jarreau-niac.
You were here 50 years ago, and I watched before we started this broadcast. You got to reacquaint yourself with some classmates from that period. Al Jarreau in his 20s at the University of Iowa. Does it seem like I'm going to say a half century ago that you were here? You walked this campus. How do you feel inside?
Seems like 2.5 centuries ago. Are you kidding me? I don't recognize anything. I was just saying, I don't think I could find my way to the house that I lived in for 2 years. Maybe if I started at the Dome and kind of walked the route that I would take, maybe I could find it. But you guys have grown so much. I mean, what do you think the enrollment is now?
33,000, someone
That's
said.
what I thought.
Yeah, there's
in
something
that
like
neighborhood.
that. Yeah, it was.
That's a lot of people. That's a city, and all within such a confined area. Boy, amazing spirit in that. I mean, there's just a shimmering that's going on. There is this sparkling, bristling intelligence and desire and thirst. Yeah.
You have an amazingly young spirit, Al Jarreau. You've always had it. How do you stay young? What if you would talk to a young person right now? What's the secret to staying young at heart and your mind?
Well, you know, I think it's in finding something that just thrills you to the marrow that you would do for free. Find something, plant some flowers, crochet, find something that makes you laugh, makes you dream about waking up in the morning, and you go for. When you find that thing, you're a nice person to be around because you're laughing and smiling. You're a good husband. I bet you don't do that. I bet you don't do that when you find that something. Well, we got some guys these days who found something they love, and they were kind of we won't go there. NFL, okay, yeah. But for most of us, when you find something that just thrills you so much, you are a pleasant, nice person to be around, and you go to sleep thinking about that song. I'm running the vacuum cleaner, seeing those lyrics in the new song that I'm writing. I'm washing dishes. My wife loves that. I'm washing. I am. I'm not kidding you. I'm cleaning up in the kitchen. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm in there by myself. Got the coffee pot going, and I am just writing this new music and doing the rock garden. You know the rock garden? That's what the rock garden is. You know the rosary You think the nun doesn't know what she's saying and needs to learn it? It opens another create just to be. It opens up a different side of your mind, and you see things and hear things that you don't hear otherwise. Driving in your car, I'm writing stuff that's happening there. When you find that kind of thing in your life, you stay young.
Are you working on?
I sure am. I'm working on.
What are you working on?
Well,
Is it some artists don't like to talk about their projects until they're done, and I would respect that.
I don't mind. I talk about everything. People are talking about, shut up, Al. You shut up. Yeah, I'm working on something right now. I'm struggling to remember the opening lines, or I'd sing it to you. It'll come to me later on,
Okay.
and I'll sing it for you. Mm-hmm.
Tell me, you've done so many concerts and sung so many songs over your career. Do you have a certain way to prepare for a concert, a certain ritual that you perform, or a way to get your voice in
all of that
in the mode? What do you
all
do?
of that.
What do you do? What do you do?
Wake up early. My prep starts with the fitness room. I'm struggling these days. I'm dealing with mutiny on the body, which will be starts with your hair and your eyes, and profound hearing loss, and then your knees jump in there somewhere, and your low back. So I go to the gym. You know, I think the singer is an athlete. You've got to be fit to sing all the things I sing. And a little bit crazy too. That helps. So, and then begins, and while I'm doing that in the gym, I'm singing, and I'm stretching my neck and opening my throat. And all of that happens for at least 6 hours before I go to stage. So it's a long day of singing. That's the preparation. And it's visualizing it, seeing me there.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
You see yourself on stage. You see
Yep.
what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You have your playlist in your head.
You have your playlist in your head, and you visualize perfect singing. Maybe you have in mind a performance where everything you wanted to sing came out. You keep that in your mind, and that's what you shoot for and what you reach for. This one. He gave you this one. Tool for creating the future. Golden Gate Bridge. Rocket to the moon. You got to see it.
I want to get to audience questions here in a moment. So please, if you have a question, please go to the microphone in the center of the room and ask our guest, Al Jarreau, a question you'd like. Plenty of things to talk about, and we have a limited amount of time, but please hand any questions you want to write down to our assistant over here as well. You know, it strikes me that...
Go to the mics.
He doesn't want to be
Come
trapped
on.
with me the whole hour.
That's right.
It strikes me, Al, that you got your degree here in the University of Iowa in rehabilitation counseling, and the underlying theme there is helping people. And now, in the decades since you've gotten that degree, science has shown us in so many different areas how music rehabilitates, how music helps. This is something you knew about, I'm sure, in your soul, in your spirit, long before science started saying that's absolutely right.
I saw it. When you see people laugh and sing and dance a little bit and have a good time, and they go home and they wake up the next morning and they've let you know that they had a good time. You know that maybe there's just a little healing in that. They felt better. They forgot that low back. They forgot for a little while that unpleasant aunt. Yeah, and that illness. And people who laugh and smile and who feel better are a little bit healed. A little bit healed. You should read my mail.
You have people writing you to thank you for some form of healing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting better.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so simple. Air Force Lisa. I'm in the Gulf, poisoned by gases and friendly gases and stuff. And in the hospital, not doing well, listening to, I can't tell you what she was listening to, but some song that talked about you're all right and you can do it. Might have been Boogie Down. I can be what I want to, and all I need is to get my boogie down. Teachers are playing that for kids in the first grade and kindergarten these days, and they sing it, and it's on recording in my house. Yeah. I can be what I want to, and all I need is to get my boogie down. You got to work at it. You got to do it. You got to see it. So she writes me and then comes to me at a concert and says, my name is Lisa. I was listening to so-and-so and so. I was very sick. I listened every day, all day long, and I'm better, and you were some part of that. Thank you, Al. Yeah.
Al Jarreau is with us.
Sounds so boastful, doesn't it? I'm sorry.
Absolutely true. It's absolutely true. We have all been healed by the music of Al Jarreau in this room. We know it to be true. And we have someone with a question who is at our audience mic here. Say your first name and go ahead with your question, please.
Mary.
Thank you. Thank you, Al. Mary, and thank you again for being here for the College of Education and speaking to the music ed students earlier. We were really, really grateful. And as a music educator, I am a firm believer that every human has the capacity to sing, and I interact with a lot of adults and other people who say, no, I can't sing. And I always encourage people that it's a human skill. We can learn to sing, we can enjoy singing, and it seems like there's a little bit of a resurgence of people wanting to sing more, but I just wonder if you want to speak a little bit about, you mentioned the value of love, of life, of laughter, and singing. Mm-hmm. So in what ways can we encourage more people to believe they can sing and sing as family members, as communities, and just enjoy the value of singing together?
I don't know. What do you say?
What do I think?
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, what I have discovered, this is very unfortunate for a music educator to say that, what I have to say to people, not only do we learn to sing, but if anybody has ever told you that you can't sing,
right,
that person just didn't know how to teach someone how to sing. So it's a matter, and that person might have been a teacher, it might have been a family member, it might have been a sibling or a friend, but that just means that that person has no information about how to teach someone how to sing.
Well, I think when we get ourselves to places where there's shared singing, and we kind of, I like that old fellowship. You know that? We feel each other, and a voice comes out of you that you didn't know you had when you're in a room with people who want to sing, and you're right there, and the guy next to you, is singing. I've been working on the railroad. You sing somebody working on the railroad too. He does not singing that great, but when you're around people who are doing it, that may be one way of encouraging people to sing. And everybody does have their own way to enjoy it, and sometimes it's private. And that's okay too.
Next question from our audience for Al Jarreau. Go ahead, please. What's your name, please?
Billy Townsend. I've been on the university campus for 25 years. Not quite as long as you, but I know the people that you know. My question is, you're from an era of love songs, of beautiful music. What do you think of the music of today, where there's more noise than there are meaningful words?
Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you, but we're getting old, you know. We're getting old. I watched him go. That Elvis, you know, that Elvis. I can't stand that Elvis, you know, because he was shaking his leg too much, you know. But I am with you. That means we just have to keep doing it, and hoping and praying that someone will hear this other kind of music, this other kind of romantic music, this other kind of uplifting music. Everything doesn't have to do that, do that, do that, do that, and and short shorts, you know. I think yes. We could talk about this forever and ever, but you know, I can't help it. I got to continue to sing that other kind of music and to write that other kind of music that draws people together at the fireplace, you know, you know, at a bench under the trees when it's raining. Got to do that. Can't help it.
Do you have in your repertoire? Do you have a favorite song, one that you just love to sing, that you never tire of, even if you've sang it 100 times?
Well, yeah, I'm one of those singers, performers who doesn't tire of doing songs that I've done before. And yeah, I sing Take 5 every night. I sing "We're in This Love" every night, in Love Together. I sing "Boogie Down" almost every night. I don't tire of those songs. They're written in such a way that there's something interesting to say all the time. And so I write it so that the next line draws my attention. My heart will soar with love that's rare and real. My smiling face will feel every cloud, then higher still, beyond the blue until I know I can, like any man, reach out my hand and touch the face of God. When you sing that, you're uplifted. Write it so you're uplifted, and somebody else will feel that too. And so, and you can find it even if you aren't writer yourself, in the music of other people. And so, yeah, I sing those songs every night and feel something joyous when I'm singing it. Joe Turano is my musical director, and that Sammy over there, he helps me find my toothbrush. He's I forget. Joe, jump in and join us anytime. Joe always has something smart and perfect and wise to say, and come on, Joe, just stand here beside me and add something if you care to. Yeah, come on. Would you comment on the love song that she's desperately wanting to hear these days in the midst of lots of noise, lots of noise?
The only thing that I would say is that I share the sentiment, and then every time I get, I find that I really need to pay a little more attention, because there are things going on with, there's some sources, YouTube and whatever, and people around the world are, of all ages and very young, are creating some things that are very beautiful. It's not gone. It's gotten eclipsed, it seems, because we have such things that the media focus on or whatever, but it's not all that's out there. That spirit still lives, and it's still being created by people young people today. And so I think we need to support that and just have optimism and hope, and it's there. Yeah.
Optimism. Joe always speaks with such optimism about the future. That requires a faith, doesn't it?
Thanks.
Optimism.
Let's if we could go to another question before our time gets away from us. Your name, please, and go ahead with your question.
My name is Scott, and it's a follow-up question about romantic songs. Lenny Welch did a wonderful song called "Since I Fell for You" that you do as part of your act, and I wonder if there's a backstory to that song, why you chose it. It's an extraordinary song.
Extraordinary song. The backstory is I heard it. I heard it. It knocked me out of my socks. I heard it. And David Sanborn heard it too, and we had talked about it when we got together about what a great song we should. And so that's how it happened. I heard it and wanted to do it myself. That happens a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have another question up there? I think we do. Go ahead, your name, and go ahead with your question.
I'm Volker Thomas, and Ben actually 5 minutes ago asked the question I was going to ask you about your favorite song, and I anticipated your answer. So now I have to come up with something else, but I want to share something. I'm from Germany, and
Yes,
in the
please.
late 60s and early 70s, I became a big fan of yours in Germany, not knowing that so many, many years later, I would be able to meet you while you're here, having graduated from the department that I teach in now. So,
Wow. Amazing.
40 years ago, something must have connected us over.
Wow. Yeah,
Now, could you do us a favor and sing Take 5 just a little bit?
and sing.
Take 5.
Won't you stop and take a little time out with me? Would you take 5? Just take 5. And stop your busy day and take the time out to see that I'm alive. I am alive. Although I'm going out of my way just so I can pass by each day. Not a single word do we say. It's a pantomime and not a play. Still I know while I thought for me. I feel tingles up to my feet when you smile about to the treat instead of me on my way. Wouldn't it be better not to be so polite? You could offer a light. Start a little conversation now, it's all right. When you take 5. Thank you, Dave Brubeck.
Thank you.
Dave Brubeck. Yeah.
I think
Speedy.
I think we have time for one more question. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just like to do a follow-up on my lovely wife Billy's question. Al, when we were in school, we were very fortunate. I mean, everything was mellow. We grew up at a stage of tranquility, and our music reflected that. And I think the music of today reflect the mood of today. Today's mood is very chaotic, disorganized. We had tranquility and organization, and it goes to show that music does reflect the time.
Well, I think so. There's a kind of frenetic thrashing around that we're doing, and it takes something something special to break through and get people to slow down for a while. That's where you come in. Teachers, hey, if you can read, you can build an automobile, or you can go to the stars in a novel and be just transported at age 80. Transported.
I think this will have to be our last question. Go ahead, yeah.
It's just that I've known you forever. And it's to see you here now is like unbelievable. Yeah. How? That's what we were both through. How old were we?
So you went to just so our audience knows, you went to school with Al?
No. I grew up. We lived across the street from each other.
Right.
In
In
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, yeah.
Really? What is your name?
Right.
I'm Byford
Byford.
Wheeler, but that's not what they call me then. But
yeah,
that's what we.
yeah.
Yeah.
You grew up
With a
across the
sister
street from
named
Jarreau.
Yeah.
With a sister named
Yeah, we were
Nisha,
Nisha, Joan, and your sister.
and my sister Rose. Yeah, you
right.
probably remember my dog Pepper.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we literally grew up together. I mean,
Wow.
it's been a long.
What was he like as a kid? Was he?
Oh.
You know what? No.
No.
Al was nice.
Well,
Al was
when you grew up a
nice.
Seventh-day Adventist, boy, I'm telling
That's
you.
right. That's right. That's right.
More do's and don'ts.
They didn't get in trouble. They didn't get in trouble. No, he was
we
always
didn't.
nice.
He
He was always kind of quiet. And but it was fun growing up with him. And when I look at him now, I'm thinking, oh my God, across the street.
And Byford, you are so gorgeous, Mike.
Well,
Look
thank
at
you.
you.
No, but I have to admit, now Milwaukee put out a lot of people who had a lot of talent. We had a lot of people who played piano, the organ,
Right.
and sang. We had a lot of talent in
Right.
Milwaukee at the time.
Right, and it may have seemed chaotic.
Yeah.
But we're always moving faster than the generation behind us, and so there is a kind of chaoticness that we can feel. But you're right, Speedy. There was still a tranquility that we were able to find that didn't seem to push us so much. We're being pushed by the technologies, We're being pushed along by modernization of everything, and we've fallen in love with this speed, and people don't sit there with a glass of wine and I won't mention and turn on the stereo and be there, because you can feel the bass drum. Doo, doo. It's moving air. It's moving air. They invented recording so that you could be there and you can hear the drawing of the bowstring. Kids listening to this stuff with this in their ears, they don't hear that. And we played. That's right.
And when it dusk came, you knew you had to go in the house to eat dinner. And everybody played outside.
Yep.
Kids don't do that today.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
And teachers gotta show them how to slow down a little bit.
One more
smell the roses.
One more question that's been written down from our audience. We can end with this. This is a nice one to end with. You mentioned washing dishes. This audience member writes, "Do you cook? What's your favorite dish? Do you sing when you cook?"
Sure.
Or do you just eat?
I'm not really a cook. I wish I could say that I can cook, but I can put some red beans to soak overnight.
You're good at that.
Cut up an onion and put it in there, and by the next day, those beans will cook down in 2 hours and have a lot of nice juicy flavor around that. And I can put some rice in a pan, but I've found a rice cooker now that never fails. It never fails. I'm not a good cook, but there's a few things that I can do. You put those two together, you know what that makes? Protein. Protein. We're going to need a lot of protein that way. Where all of our animals are coming up sick. We spend too much money feeding animals that we could use to feed people. So protein in that way is pretty cool. And that came out of living with poor people who have something to teach that nobody else can teach. There's a kind of pride that we need to take in being born on the other side of the tracks and still making something happen. Can't nobody do that but you. Guy who's born with a silver spoon in his mouth is supposed to succeed. Who can applaud that? But a guy who struggled and ate beans and rice has something to teach that only he can teach.
Al Jarreau. 1964 graduate of the University of Iowa. Welcome back, Al
Thank you.
Jarreau, and thank you for
Thanks
this
for
hour.
coming, you guys. I love it. Yay! Thanks, Ben. What an afternoon. What an afternoon.